Welcome to the 5 o'clock show. It's time for Common Sense. Now, it's Katz and Cosby with John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby, standing for truth, justice, and the American way, bringing common sense to the world. Now, here's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never can.
And John, on Katz and Cosby, we're talking about the art of the deal, and everybody is talking about this deal with Iran.
Let me tell you something. I trust the president. And look, we're willing to have a discussion on it because there's a lot of people that feel differently than I do. But I think he is one smart guy, and I put my money on the president.
Absolutely. And listen, I have a lot of faith in President Trump. And no president has gotten us to this point. I will 100% give him credit for that. That is for sure. What I'm worried about, John, is, first of all, I don't trust the Iranians. Wait.
I trust the president, but nobody trusts the Iranians.
Nobody does.
All right, I mean, we all know that.
But that's why you got to keep the enforcement up. And I worry what happens when he's not in the White House. What happens a couple years from now? That's what I'm worried.
Wait a second. You know, no matter who's in the White House, the Iranians will test him.
Oh, 100%. Okay? I agree with that.
The only one with the courage to do what he's doing is President Donald J. Trump.
You know what you call it? Cojones. It's true. He has guts and courage, and he's obviously fighting the right fight.
The Israelis have their own shtick. Is that the way you say it? The Jews have their own shtick.
I think you got to ask Judge Weinberg about that.
And me, I love the Israelis. I love the Jews, but America comes first. And if we don't have a strong America, and if we don't win the election in November, you know what? We all lose.
Judge Weinberg, your thoughts. Judge, you're looking, and I agree we have to have a strong America, but I also agree we have to appreciate Israel.
When did an Islamist hegemonic dictatorship, which wants to destroy Western civilization, become the Jewish question? What nonsense is that?
Because that is the fight going on in America right now.
Oh, so therefore we're supposed to cave to anti-Semitism. We're allowed to
why don't you say, instead of saying anti-Semitism, why don't you say anti-hate? And not just worry about one set of people. Why don't we worry about all the people?
But that's swell. That's swell. Except where's all the hate directed, John?
Well, that's because, you guys overdo it. Look, I don't want any hate in the world at all. I don't want anti-Semitism. I don't want anti-Greekism. I don't want anti-Italians. I don't want anti-blacks. Okay? I don't want any hate. Okay? And
but John, when did the Islamists who run Iran say death to the Irish, death to the Italians, death to the whites?
All right. Let's go to Ed Cox, the GOP chairman, and let's go to the guys with the white shoes.
All right. This is an agreement. Okay, I'm going to address the agreement. It's an agreement to agree, so the deal...
Why don't you address what we just heard, Ed Cox?
It's okay.
I'm going to leave that between John and his counsel.
Oh, I see. Very good political answer.
And we have Mark Levin coming on in a few minutes.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear that.
Mark Levin is one smart guy.
He sure is.
I respect him a great deal. He's a smart guy.
Yes.
And let's see how he feels, too. But you read the Iran agreement.
I did.
What does it say?
And this is the Iran agreement as read by someone. It is not official. An official
and what does it say?
Yet to be named. And so this is, and what it says, it's an agreement to agree. It's not done yet. But they have to first remove all impediments to the flow of oil, basically. But it has to flow in proportion to the way it flowed before.
And by the way, it
means 20 million barrels went through it, and that means that it's got to be basically, because about 1 million Iranian barrels went through it, so it's going to be 20-1.
All right,
the flow.
So let me tell you what happened last night, because this did come out from J.D. Vance, the vice president, said that 12.5 million barrels went through the strait. They're starting. That's a good sign. And they also went on with their beacons. He was talking about how the vessels before went dark. So that's a good sign. I want to bring up, before we go further, the 3 M's.
They went on with their beacons, so they weren't hiding like before.
Yes.
And they before that, fact they had their, what do you call it?
Yeah, the transponders
the
off.
The transponder was off.
Yep.
And they weren't hit by mines, by the way.
Yeah, for one night.
So bottom line was...
And drones.
What Trump did, by the way, with NATO and European community. And you know what Trump said? I was testing you. I didn't need France's one crappy aircraft carrier.
Or the UK.
I was testing you to see how dependable you are to NATO. I was testing you how dependable you are to the overall thing, okay?
Well, and
that's
they
bottom
failed.
line.
And they failed. They failed.
They failed.
Now, John,
okay?
hang on. Before we go forward.
After we win the war, France sent that stupid aircraft carrier.
Rita,
It was a joke. It was a joke. But before we go forward, I want to go to the 3 M's because I thought this really encapsulated. This is from Mike Pompeo, former Secretary of State under President Trump. And he said the things he's worried about, the fact that in this deal, and we'll get to it with Mark Levin in a moment and more with you, Ed, too, and the Gov, is that there are missiles. It allows for missiles. It allows for them to continue to have their missile program. It gives them money, not U.S. money, but other money, and money is fungible.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I know where the money's from.
$300 billion, a lot of money.
No, it's not a lot of money. I'll tell you where it's from.
Well, I don't want them to get a
And by the way,
That's all
doesn't money.
What's the other M?
And the other M is that there will never be moderates in Iran. That's what Pompeo believes. He believes it's inevitable that Donald Trump will have to go back in militarily again.
We
That's
always
what he
said
believes.
that.
Yep, we agree on that.
That's on November 10th.
Yeah,
And the president already said that. The president said, "Hey, the minute
my bet is, John, it's not November 10th.
But
My bet
actually,
is
November 9th?
my bet is it's going to be in a few days or a week or two. Go ahead.
But
Doug.
actually, Rita, earlier in the show, you said what's going to happen when he leaves the White House. So that really is a valid consideration here.
No matter what you sign, it's always going to be a problem if you have somebody at the White House that doesn't have a pair of testicles. Then you're always going to have a problem.
Then, John,
what if it's a woman? What if it's a woman?
She needs testicles too.
Yeah. Then, John, if you have 2 pairs of testicles, why not take them out now?
Yes.
Thank you,
know
Governor.
why? Because
Thank you for common sense from the governor.
You have an election in November, okay?
Well, you guys, let's go to one smart guy, Mark Levin. Of course, you can hear him every weeknight here on 77 WABC. Mark, you've been hearing our very spirited conversation. Your reaction to what's in this memorandum?
Wow. Cats, you're all excited today. I've been listening to you here. I'll tell you what.
We have a good time.
I'll tell you what. Here's the bottom line. Give me any evidence whatsoever, any document they've signed, any agreement they made, any evidence whatsoever that they adhered to a deal. Just give me one piece. There's zero. So we're debating the MOU. We're doing an MOU now because the president wants to get out of this. I get it. We got an election. I got that too. But that's beside the point. I get how important that is. But when we're focused on the MOU, then focus on the MOU, not even the big picture. What's in it? Yes, they're going to get $300 billion at some point, somewhere. It doesn't matter. And what are they going to do with that $300 billion when we're all done and they've done whatever they're supposed to do? I read the MOU. JD says they have to meet this. I see none of that in there. So they have 60 days to negotiate. And so my advice to them is you better get those ballistic missiles in there because that's one of the reasons we went to war in the first place. They spoke about a ring of ballistic missiles to protect their nuclear program. Those ballistic missiles did more damage to the oil systems in the Arab countries, or more damage to Israel than anything, because they're the most powerful conventional weapon they have. They can now reach Europe, and nothing's going to stop China, North Korea, and or Russia from showing them how to reach the United States. Those damn things better be in some deal. I don't even know how we're going to monitor it, but they better. That's number one. Number two, the idea that Israel's responding to Hezbollah when they fire 2 drones into the desert, that's not what's happening. It is a constant missile barrage being fired into Israel in the north area of Israel. They're having to depopulate their country, which is a tiny country to begin with. And no country's going to put up with that. We didn't put up with them when they took one of our helicopters out. Iran is demanding it because Hezbollah is its strongest military arm. They weren't taken out. Their Air Force was taken out. Their Navy was taken out. Their radar systems were taken out and so forth. Hezbollah's remain. Lebanon wants nothing to do with Hezbollah. The Christians who live there have had enough of Hezbollah. It is Iran is Hezbollah. That needs to be fixed too. And there's some other things. But look, I trust the president. I love the president. I know he wants to do the right thing. And I think we have an obligation, we, to give him the best advice we can, not just people in the White House, not just Tucker Carlson who's trying to get his views in, or Megyn Kelly or whatever. We have a responsibility to raise issues too, and he'll either take them or he'll ignore them.
Mark Levin, I agree with you 110%. And Israel should be able to go in and do whatever the heck they want in those other countries that are attacking them.
I have some breaking news.
Give it to us.
I don't mean to be
wait, breaking news.
Yeah, hold on. Here it is. Breaking news.
Breaking news. WABC.
You're on, Mark.
This is Channel 14 in Israel by Libby Blanca Alan. Interview with Channel 14. President Trump confirmed that the U.S. would, quote, absolutely, unquote, back Israel if it launches an independent attack on Iran. Now, I don't have any context for this. I'm just reading it across my
I agree.
email.
I agree with that. I mean,
I'm glad.
Our number one priority right now, Mark Levin, if we don't win November, we're in deep crap.
I agree, but you know what, Katz? It's not going to be this. The last poll says that over 80% of the people are focused on the economy.
Yes.
Less than
and I'm in the oil business.
To this war.
And Mark Levin, Maria Bartiromo is having me on tomorrow at 8:30 because I, for the last 2 years, have been exactly on the mark on the price of oil and interest rates. And what's going on, oil went down to $74 today, or $73. It's only $10 away from the $65 I predicted. And we get the price of oil down. We get all the nuclear scientists that's saying inflation, that goes away, and we can bring interest rates down. We bring oil down, cost of energy down, and interest rates down.
Are more copacetic than you may think. I posted, I think it was yesterday, I don't remember. I said, you know what, I don't like any of this deal. We should have finished him off. I don't know why we took a 2-week ceasefire that turned into 9 weeks. We had him on the ground. We could have wiped him out. I really believe this. And that said, I said, why don't we play their game, drag them out, the straits are open, well, you'll get what you want. Now drag them out till after the election, and then bomb the shit out of them.
That's what we're doing. Don't forget.
I agree with John.
Me and the guy you just met a few years ago, me and Trump go back 50 years, so that's what he's doing.
And the agreement permits
I didn't mean to
That's
curse.
the way
Sorry
it works.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Mark
We
Levin,
bleeped it. We bleeped
We
it.
bleeped it anyway. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Good.
Hey, Mark, I want to go back to one other thing you said. To me, I was watching J.D. Vance today. One of the things he did say, he said that, yes, Israel has a right to defend itself. And obviously, President Trump 100% agrees with that, which is great. But he also said this, and this was kind of shocking to me. He said, Trump, he kind of scolded. He said, anybody in Israel who's critical of the deal or critical of Trump right now, saying Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who's sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this time.
I thought that was disgusting. And I want you to know something. People are going back and looking at what these cabinet members said. Not a single one was critical of Israel. Of Trump. Not one. He's also wrong about not a single head of state. We know Hungary. We know Serbia. We know Argentina. I don't have the whole list in my head. That's simply not true. I'm not a big fan of things that he says like that. I think they're outrageous. He's talked about Iran in very cozy terms that, wow, they're getting like more reasonable, and I think we can work with them. They actually sound pretty. Iran has killed thousands of Americans with Hezbollah. They've maimed thousands of Americans. Don't hand me this crap that they're reasonable and we can get along with them and everything else. Does anybody know what they believe? There's one guy in the world that has right on his desk right here, Islamic Government, written by the original Khomeini in English. You read this thing, no wonder it's called the Khomeini Mein Kampf. It is sick. It is brutal. It is a death cult. People are talking. They don't even know what we're dealing with. Let me tell you, the Iranians think right now that they won. Now, why do they think that? Because they're surviving. And they don't care how many die. They don't care how many planes they lose. They're there for the next decade and the next decade and the decade after that. Like the communist Chinese, they look at things in a 1,000-year period. That's how these people conduct themselves. We're Westerners. We have election cycles. We're fighting for the next election cycle. What about the price of oil? What about the stock market? This doesn't enter their heads. What they're thinking now is, okay, we ducked the biggest bullet we ever faced, and we survived. And in their head, what they're saying, according to this book, they're stronger than ever. That God has protected them, Allah, and that Allah is telling them to fight on. Did you see what the supreme, whatever they call this supreme leader?
I saw that, Mark.
You see the wiggle room he left in there? He leaves wiggle room. He says, look, these guys negotiated this. They did the best they could. That's okay. I'm not in the program, but I get what they're doing. In other words, the hardliners, they're all hardliners. For these guys, there's no moderates, or they'd be dead. This is what they go through. They did it with Obama. They did it with Biden. They did it with the Europeans. They did it with the IAEA. Once Trump's out, no holds barred. The Democrats win the presidency, they're going to walk all over them. And what's going to happen if they say, after they get all the money and everything's open, they say, you know what, we're ripping this damn thing up. What are you going to do about it? This is not over.
Yeah, I agree. I agree
100%. But let's do first things first. And I think
I agree.
Knowing President Trump, and I don't know for a fact, but I just know him for a long time. That let's win November, and afterwards take care of the Iranian Republic Army after that.
I'm all for it. If that's what we do.
Like I said,
I don't think JD thinks that way.
JD has nothing to say. JD has nothing to say about it. It's President Trump is the president.
Yeah.
And I enjoy talking to you, and we have more in common than not.
We love you, Mark.
Thank you so much.
I love you guys.
And Mark,
by the way,
yes,
yeah, WABC is where I was born on radio. It's the best station in America. We all know that.
It is. You were in diapers, and you came out and said your first words were, as opposed to mom and dad, WABC.
And Mark Levin is on WABC at between 6 and 8 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday.
We love Mark. Mark, we love you. We love you, my friend. Great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Wow. So, Ed, what did you make of what we just heard from the great one, Mark Levin?
I think that what John is saying, that the first thing that will be done is negotiating over the flow of oil, and that is in the interest of both Iran and the United States, and that's what's going to be negotiated. That's probably going to be a lot of talk about that. The rest of the agreement is we'll see what happens to it, but I don't think it's written in stone that this agreement is going to be what's done in the end.
It's a work in progress.
I'm going to tell you the facts of life.
It's an agreement to agree. We know what that means.
I'm going to tell you the facts of life. You're never going to make an agreement. I agree with everybody. But winning the election and bringing the price of oil down and bringing the price of interest rates down is more important right now.
And that is exactly what comes first by provisions of the agreement, and they're going to negotiate the flow of oil, and it's going to be 20 barrels go out to every 1 barrel that goes out for Iran.
Absolutely.
That's the way agreement works.
Let's go.
Yeah,
wait. Come on, let's move on.
No. We have time now. No, we have John Solomon after the break.
Well,
we have time now. Yeah, we have time.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, see, I'm keeping track for you guys.
All right, let's take a break and come back with John Solomon with some more breaking news.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC. Breaking news, WABC.
Oh, yeah. And we are back here on Katz and Cosby, and let's go to some breaking news.
Breaking news, WABC.
And joining us now is the great investigative journalist, John Solomon. Boy, what a busy news day, John. Where do you want to start?
Let's start in Iran, where the Supreme Leader, the son of the original Ayatollah Khomeini, Leader Mojtaba Khomeini, today said, hey, it's time to have some face-to-face talks with the United States, in-person negotiations. That is something that I think a lot of people were surprised about today. Came out, and there was a lot of spin in there, the classic Iranian bluster. But those are things we didn't hear for a long time from Iran. Just like a couple of days ago, they said maybe a new era dawning between the United States and Iran. These are subtleties moving the sentiments between the United States and Iran down the road. We'll see where that leads, but that's one of many things we're looking at. Soon, New York City might not only be the only big city in America with a socialist mayor. Today, one of the Democratic contenders in the D.C. mayor's race conceded defeat, and that means Janice Lewis George, an avowed socialist and Democratic socialist in Washington, D.C., is cleared to be likely to be the next mayor of Washington, D.C. President Trump doesn't like that, making clear if that happens in the fall, if Lewis George gets to the fall and becomes the mayor-elect, he may take the federal city back under federal control. So we're keeping a close eye on that. And here's one. We had a chance to interview one of the people who was the target of the UFC 250 terror plot. Turns out he was a whistleblower lawyer, a West Virginia state legislator who runs the Empower Oversight Whistleblower Center that represented the IRS whistleblowers against Hunter Biden, the FBI whistleblowers during the Biden era. He learned by virtue of court documents that he was one of the people that the alleged terrorists that were going to carry out that attack with explosive drones and snipers, he was one of the people that was going to be targeted. He said, you know what? Not going to deter me. I'm going to keep doing my whistleblower work. I'm going to do my legislature work. These yahoos are not going to intimidate me. So we had a great interview with him.
And hey, John, before you move forward, the big news today also regarding this ringleader was an illegal immigrant. The guy who was planning the plot. Talk about that. Yeah,
the Homeland Security confirming that a little while ago to Congress. You just see what we keep seeing time and time again. Some illegal immigrants come in, they hate America, they start hooking up with American citizens, and they start to move the dialogue in these groups towards, you should hate America like I do, and all of a sudden a terror plot is formed. We saw this a year ago when a Pakistani native was coming across the border trying to find some Americans willing to help him assassinate President Trump, at the behest of, by the way, Iran. So this narrative, time and time again, we see it. It's the danger of that open border that Joe Biden brought into our country.
And John, do you have any updates on Gavin Newsom? We were talking the other day about the investigation, the Department of Justice investigation into him and people close to him. What do you got on that?
We have $340 million worth of updates because that's how much money Gavin Newsom was directing to special interest money. He was directing to his cronies and his pals, including the nonprofit run by his wife, one of the nonprofits. She got $4 or $5 million. There's this unique system. It's kind of a boss hog system in California where a politician can't take money directly from a special interest that's currently lobbying his administration, but he can say to that special interest, go to my favorite pet project or my favorite nonprofit and do that. Gavin Newsom is the king of that system. $340 million of special interest money he directed to his pet causes, his pet nonprofits, his favorites, and one of the big beneficiaries, one of his wife's nonprofits. That story has been buzzing all weekend long. I think the president maybe even shared that today on his social media. But yeah, we have a lot more to learn about Gavin Newsom, and we'll see now whether those transactions are part of what the Justice Department is currently looking at between his wife and the governor.
Wow. Well, keep us posted, John. You always have the great stuff. We love having you here, John. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Love the show, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you guys, here are some of the other headlines for today.
It's the top news of the day. Here's Rita Cosby.
And the Obama Presidential Center, John, celebrated its grand opening in Chicago. By the way, later on, we're going to talk to former Governor Rod Blagojevich about this. Who better than him? Former President Obama spoke, of course, along with former First Lady Michelle Obama and Presidents Bill Clinton, George Bush, and Joe Biden were all in attendance.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah, I can't wait to. It'll be, by the way, the building I'm not crazy about, but we'll get into that.
Well, good for them. I mean, look, he's a former president, and
absolutely, and also, it was interesting. I saw someone give a tour the other day. It was interesting to sort of hear the early days and the behind the scenes. It's interesting to see. And also, speaking of also interesting, we were just watching this, how powerful. President Trump just awarded, literally minutes ago, the Medal of Honor to a retired reconnaissance Marine. Major James Capers Jr. led his team through a deadly ambush in South Vietnam in 1967, injured and heavily bleeding. Capers then got his 9-man team to a helicopter for evacuation after 4 days and nights of relentless fighting. And boy, he's a true American hero. I love these ceremonies. Right, Gov?
The only thing is, why did it take 66 years to give it to him?
Yeah, I wonder what took. Sometimes, it's paperwork or someone came forward. We got to find out.
Project would even live that long?
Yeah, exactly. But listen, I'm glad he was here and his family was here.
He was a black man. And maybe the United States is coming together and doing the right thing for all people.
Well, and it's beautiful to see him honored. So
and
eloquent.
Yesterday, me and David Patterson,
Yes.
Governor Patterson, along with Dominic Carter, we spoke at the 100 Black Man function in New York City. And
how was that, you guys?
Well, we had a good time, and we told the truth.
Everybody spoke. Everybody was good. John was particularly good talking about growing up in Harlem and wind up going to high school way away from where he lived and what he grew up to be. And for that reason, we are really considering initiating 101st Black Man and making it John Black Man Catsimatidis.
What about women?
There's no women. There's no women.
My last name's Cosby.
The reason, actually, I was thinking about that because my wife was there, and if we mentioned she was there, then we were going to have to, have all other kinds of people.
But she was white.
I know.
But she's white.
As far as I know, yes.
Yeah, my skin and your skin are close.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
And I'm Danish and Polish, so I guess I don't qualify.
All right.
And Rita's a cousin.
Let's move on.
Cousin. If we're going to a break, you guys, and coming back, we're going to talk to Claudia Tenney and also General Blaine Holden and so much more. Stay with us.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Honey, what are you listening to?
Mom!
Your teen might not share everything with you, but teens share everything with each other. And certain everyday behaviors, like sharing food, drinks, or kisses, could mean sharing bacteria that can cause meningococcal disease, known as meningitis. Although meningitis is uncommon, about 1 in 10 who develop it will die. Ask your teen's doctor about missing meningitis vaccinations. Learn more at meningitis.com. Vaccination may not protect all recipients. Sponsored by GSK.
You're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, Thursday evening, calling in right now, Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, a good friend, one of the smartest congresswomen we have, a member of the Ways and Means Committee. Well, Claudia Tenney, what the heck is going on? I mean, President Trump is on his way back from France and having dinner at the Versailles. Can you give me your evaluation of what the heck is going on for the American people?
Yeah, thanks so much, John. Great to be on. Look, I think President Trump has got a massive schedule. He's trying to do so much, and so much was destroyed in the past 4 years under Joe Biden. And much of the groundwork was laid in the past under President Obama with just a completely different message that was really not good for the American people. And President Trump, recognized and showed great courage to stand up for the Iranian people, for the countries in the Middle East, and to really, to begin the eradication of this horrible regime in Iran. And I know that's the president's intent, but he also wants to make sure he balances the interests of the economy. And I think that's what he's worried about. He wants to make sure that the American people have, affordable gas prices, that they can, that they're benefiting from all the good things that we did in the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, the working families tax cuts last year, which I'm seeing all across my district, John. I mean, the tax cuts, so many provisions for small business owners made permanent. My small business owners, this is a lifeline coming from the federal government. When you see what's happening in New York State with increasing budgets, increasing taxes, and people literally closing their businesses, going bankrupt, or leaving. So the relief that we've provided on the federal side and the investment in energy has been a huge issue for President Trump, and it's critically important for the American people, not just for the economy and for their kitchen table issues, but for the long-term security of the United States. President Trump took decisive action with Iran. He's allowed the Iranians right now. He's given them a chance under the MOU. It's just an MOU. It's not the final deal, to try to make good on their deals. And he's indicated over and over in his trip overseas that if they violate this agreement, he will come down on them, with a hammer. And he is still considering that. And we'll just see what happens. I think this is one of those things where I don't think the president is naive. I think he knows that you cannot sign a deal with these people. So I think what he's trying to do is say, you guys either sign up or we're going to get right back into, the second round of epic fury, because we want peace and prosperity in the Middle East. We want to end this regime that continues to chant death to America, death to the United States, and is threatening the world economy and threatening us all the time and threatening their own people. I know people are disappointed. In some cases, I'm a little cautious and a little nervous about how we're going to end up. But I have faith that President Trump is going to make sure that if they don't comply, that we come at them even with more force.
Representative Tenney, I can call you Claudia. We know each other a long time.
Absolutely, yeah. I call you Mr. Katz just because I love the name.
Okay. The picture from 51,000 feet, the most important thing to the United States of America right now is that we have common sense in Washington, and we can't get common sense in Washington. We have the November elections, which is very important, and the November elections are going to go the right way as long as the gasoline prices, and they're on the way. Everything I said on Fox, everything I said on WABC is true. I mean, oil is down to $74 a barrel already. And energy prices and gasoline prices being down. And at the same time, after that, because the national politicians want to go the wrong direction, say inflation. There is no inflation. This was temporary during the war, and the fact is that interest rates will come down. So if interest rates come down by September and by $3, $2.50 gasoline, then the country is going to go in the right direction. But President Trump has the courage that in Iran and China know the same thing. So, but President Trump has the courage to go in there. And the last bombing he did, he wiped out the part of the Iranian force. And now he's hurting the people that he wants to hurt. Wait, I mean, you know more than I do because you're on that Ways and Means Committee.
Yeah, I also serve on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. So I know the number one thing that we need to do, and President Trump knows this, is we cannot let the Iranians have leverage by developing a nuclear weapon. They were very close. In fact, they probably actually could have developed a few nuclear weapons. We have worked hard to eradicate that. We have to make sure they cannot rebuild that. We have to remove all of any potential for that. We have to stop them from funding their proxies, which is why I'm a little worried about where this financial scheme goes. We got to be very careful that any kind of sanctions relief that we would give to them only helps the world economy and the American people, that we get the price of gas down. We cannot give in to them on allowing them to continue their terror proxies, to continue to threaten Israel. And Israel is our greatest ally in the Middle East. They're the only democracy. They have been fighting a war to protect Western civilization. I know President Trump says a lot of things, and I think that you have to just filter through. He does a lot of messaging and to different people, but those are the things that have to happen. We have to protect Israel and the fact that they are such a strong partner, and we have to be very leery of any deal, even an MOU like we have that is temporary, of what we're doing with them. But look, it is good to see that the economic principles that we made permanent in so many cases in legislation that, by the way, we're going the wrong way when we were under the Biden administration, are coming into play. As we grow our economy, we grow our strength and our leverage, because that is our greatest strength and future. And we need to make sure that we continue the leverage and the pressure on the mullahs. You can't negotiate with them. They're going to cheat. I think President Trump knows that. He's giving them a little bit of a time pause to make sure that they're going to comply. And if they don't, he's going to come back at them. But in the meantime, we've got to get the economy going. President Trump unleashed American energy. It's just critically important to our security. People are screaming about data centers. The Democrats have no common sense. They're trying to send us back into some prehistoric age where we don't have access to affordable energy and cleaner versions of energy. I mean, New York State, I'm going to tell you, you're a New York City guy, but 95% of New York City depends on natural gas, even though they passed that climate bill back in 2019 that said that we can only use so much natural gas. Well, guess what? Come to upstate New York, and we're only 30% dependent on fossil fuels because we have emission-free nuclear power. We have the hydropower coming from Niagara Falls. We have opportunities to put solar, and I don't agree with putting solar in places where we have ideal farmland or on water and some of these crazy, idiotic things that are actually a threat to our economy or to our environment that the Democrats are doing.
Claudia Tenney.
So we have the energy is absolutely a critical issue for New York.
Number one.
And you can look at a map of the United States. We are doing worse in New York because of our energy policies than the rest of the country, excluding maybe California and a few other blue states where they're just idiotic energy policy is making them economically unstable.
Claudia Tenney, thank you for coming on this Thursday. We got so much to talk about. Let's talk again on Sunday, and because you're one smart lady, and I enjoy talking to you, and you know how to tell the truth to the American people, and I'll talk to you on Sunday.
Thanks so much, John. Great to be on. And let's see, every 24 hours is a major cycle for this world today.
Wow, very interesting stuff. And by the way, we're going to be talking with George Borrello in a few minutes.
She's one smart lady.
I love her. her.
And now, I mean, we've got General Holt on.
Yeah, he's going to be joining us in just a moment. And by the way, John, we're going to be talking to George Borrello about this big rally. It's going to be Mamdani and Bernie Sanders who are pushing for three candidates, Ed. Three definitely Democratic Socialists of America candidates.
Let's go to John. Is Holt on?
Yeah, not yet. We're waiting for him. So let's go to Gov.
I was just talking with Chairman Cox, and a lot of the polls, because there's been a lot of early voting, are talking about a lot of people you wouldn't think are in trouble. The number one person would be the congressman from Harlem and Washington Heights, Adriano Espaillat. He's considered to be right now behind, and that's shocking.
Yeah, that is. Oh, by the way, it is shocking. And so let's see what happens, you guys. And we're going to talk to Borrello about that in a moment.
We're fighting for the soul of America for this November election. No, nobody forget that. Go ahead.
Yeah, big time, John, big time. And joining us now is Brigadier General Blaine Holt, who's talking for fighting the Iranians still. So where are we going with all of this, Blaine? My goodness. Everyone has an opinion about this memorandum of understanding. But one of the things we were just talking about last night, Blaine, is that the Strait of Hormuz is open, and the vice president said today that 12.5 million barrels of oil got through last night, that a whole bunch of vessels went through with their transponders on, no drone strikes against them. So where is this headed, and what's going to happen? I actually have a very important question, Blaine. When I was watching J.D. Vance today, there was a question about the U.S. military, how long they're going to stay ramped up in the area. How do you understand that?
Well, I think we're on a good vector overall. And yes, I'm watching ships right now as we're speaking, moving through the lanes, and that is wonderful news for everybody. But there's a lot more work to be done. So the military is not coming home yet. But we would probably never draw down the military, at least not in the next year or so. below the force levels that we had before we started this thing. So we really ramped up. We've got
that's my question. Hang on one second. You just hit the question.
At least one aircraft carrier and destroyers there.
Yeah, my understanding is they're going to go back to pre-war levels, right? So but they're not doing the beefed up assets. Let's be honest there.
They won't have two aircraft carriers.
That's fine, but what we normally have had there was enough to get done whatever we need to get done in Iran. So we're not going to be in a vulnerable situation. We're
no
going
question.
to have we will be more than ready for anything that would come up. I estimate through the process of the next 60 to 70 days, we're probably going to see some military action that involves the last of what IRGC is. I think that the emerging government in Iran, the IRGC, will be hostile to them as well. And I think that you're going to see that force come off the table. It can't happen without us. And so there's a lot of horse trading back and forth. But look, I really like how the president has set up the carrots and the sticks to get us to where we need to be. And, you know, there's a lot of people hand-wringing over this and billions of dollars here. And look, Iran is not the Iran that was present before this thing even started.
Yeah, no question. Hey, Blaine, real quick, when you just said about going after the IRGC, is that in response to them breaking the deal that's anticipated, or where are you going with that? When you think we would do that just on our own or with Israel, or do you think it's in a reaction to?
It'll be in reaction to. I think the IRGC is going to hang themselves by their own petard. Honestly, there is no love between the Iranian people and the IRGC. They're actually the ones that led all the killings in the earliest part of the year. And so when martyrs leave the planet, they do very vicious, bad things. So we have to be careful here at home with cells. We also have to look for them to try to scuttle the deal with their own actions, and the rest of the world saying, see, Iran's doing this. It's not really Iran. It's a rogue group inside their country now that we have to deal with.
Yeah, great points.
Yeah, Blaine, General Holt, it's exactly... Trump says, make my day. I know Trump. His words underneath his lips is make my day. And the first thing he's going to go after is the IRGC and wipe them out if they dare hit one ship.
Oh, he will. And he has been. That last display really decremented quite a bit of their command and control and combat capability. And it only gets worse from there for those guys. My only advice to the president would be just understand a cornered badger is a very dangerous animal indeed. And I know he knows that. And we'll be making contingency plans for that. The Hezbollah piece is still present. And so there will be some military action as we get through this. But I can't tell you how encouraged I am by this very, very new and different approach that people in the media are trying to castigate as some sort of Obama-like overture, which I find ridiculous.
Well, that's why I agree. It's night and day in that regard. And I don't have any doubt. I agree with John that, and you, obviously, Blaine, that being now that you're a year older as of yesterday, that clearly.
Nowhere near me.
Nowhere. Right. Just a few months difference.
I'm not competing.
Exactly. But clearly Trump is going to level them. I mean, there's no question as they violate it, and I expect they will. So we'll have to see where it goes.
If the IRGC, a lot of intelligence agencies listen to this show, General, and if they're listening, let them know that, Trump is saying, make my day.
Yeah. Yep. Look, the president has used all the elements of power. And I think where people really fail at this is they don't really understand how Scott Bessent's role has been so active in this, with drying up money laundering, making them bankrupt, working deals, setting up the sovereign investment funds of the Gulf states to be ready to start investing in infrastructure projects in Iran. And after all, isn't that what the whole point of the Abraham Accords was in the first place? That if you're economically tied to each other, you'll be far less likely to throw nukes at each other.
Yeah, great points. Well, Blaine Holt, thank you so much. We always love having you, Blaine. Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care.
Thanks a lot. And as we were saying before, a big rally taking place, actually underway right now. It's with Zohran Mamdani and Bernie Sanders, and they are showing support for three Democratic socialists. that they hope to get elected. This is really looks like the trend in the Democratic Party. And join us now is New York State Senator George Borrello. George, it's great to have you here. What do you make of this rally? And Mondani has kind of already tipped his hand. I mean, a couple days ago, he did an interview and saying, I hope this is the direction of the party. Like this is what they want for the rest of America.
Well, socialism hasn't worked anywhere it's tried, and certainly they're leaning, not just leaning in that direction, they're leaning into this far left socialism, and it's also anti-American, anti-Semitic, and everything else that goes along, with this, this party and this movement, and it's absolutely shameful. And by the way, most New Yorkers don't believe socialism is the right route either. And I thought it was interesting too. Bernie Sanders has been in New York a lot. I saw a poll that he is, amongst the Democrats in New York State, he is actually the most popular political figure. So it's not even Zohran Mamdani, certainly not Kathy Hochul. So that's why I think he's clinging to Bernie Sanders, because amongst Democrats, he is currently the favorite son, not even a New Yorker, but certainly a far left, icon. But it's just absolutely shameful.
Judge Weinberg.
Senator, good to talk to you again. So what do you make of Kathy Hochul and the Democratic state legislature's pied-à-terre tax? They're still trying to figure out how it's going to work, how it's not going to destroy the economic base of people who own apartments, the whole co-op movement in the state. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, I think it's absolutely devastating. And by the way, bad ideas that start in New York City spread like cancer to the rest of the state. We already have a bill that was introduced this year to do the same type of a tax, pied-à-terre tax on properties outside of New York City. Also, I've heard it's going to impact properties that are valued as little as $1 million in New York City. You are not a rich person. You are not a billionaire if you live in something valued at $1 million in New York City. And it's a tax on a tax, because you're already paying property taxes. You're already paying for the privilege to own property in New York City. And now, how many people now have a place somewhere in the five boroughs because they work there, and perhaps they have a permanent residence somewhere outside the five boroughs? These are the people that you're going to be taxing, and they're going to start selling their properties. It's going to drive down property values. It's going to have a negative impact on the economy. And in the end, I don't think they're going to get anywhere near the $500 million they estimate that they're going to get from this pied-à-terre tax. Look, the governor knows this is a bad idea, but she has to bend the knee to Zohran Mamdani, because he's more popular than she is, quite frankly, and she needs his support. So she has put these additional taxes in and bowed to his whims. Here's a guy that doesn't know anything about anything, quite frankly. He just speaks well, smiles, and people think he knows what he's talking about. But he hasn't run anything larger than a staff of about a half a dozen people prior to being the mayor of the largest city in America. So I think this is going to be a disaster, but we'll have to buckle up and see what happens.
Ed Cox.
Senator, tell us about the budget that just got passed, Hochul's budget, and the extra amount that was added after the budget was passed.
Another $10 million afterwards.
Yes, exactly. So it was supposed to be $268 billion with a B, which, by the way, is a massive increase since we've had one-party rule, about $100 billion more than the last time we had balanced government in New York State in 2019. But on top of that, they said all of a sudden, about a week later, after the budget was passed, oh, wait, it's actually $277 billion. It's unbelievable. It's the largest per capita of any budget in the nation. And about almost half of it, by the way, is Medicaid, which is a hugely fraudulent
That's
program.
what I wanted to say. George Borrello, I want to remind everybody, Florida, 24 million people, their Medicaid budget is $25 billion. New York, 19.5 million people, their Medicaid budget is $125 billion. Somewhere, something is rotten somewhere.
No doubt about it. In fact, just yesterday, the Justice Department unsealed a They are going after Medicaid in New York State. There's a corruption case filed by the Department of Justice against the Department of Health here in New York State, claiming fraud in a huge chunk program that is the CDPAP, which is home health care. They hired a company. It appears to be a fraudulent bid. That's the accusation. A company that was already hiring people in New York State before the bids were actually closed and a vendor was chosen. They've had a history, I'm told. There's allegations of wage theft by this company when they've done this elsewhere, and they're already having problems here in New York State. People are not getting paid. These are people that are actually going into the homes of senior citizens, people with developmental disabilities, and caring for them, keeping them out of nursing homes. And these people are not getting paid properly, which we're already hearing. It's a fraudulent program, and this is just the tip of the iceberg.
We got to go because we got some other people waiting online. But George Borrello, let's continue this conversation on Sunday.
Absolutely, will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Senator.
And let's take a quick break, and we're going to have Rod Blagojevich after the break and a lot more.
This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And we are back, and breaking news out of Chicago.
Breaking news, WABC.
Well, the Obama Library, it's officially open, and today a whole bunch of presidents were there. Of course, former President Obama, also Joe Biden, Bill Clinton was there, George W. Bush, G.W. Bush.
I'm glad all the presidents were there.
No, they should be. They always do.
Well,
they always do show up.
Yeah.
Clinton showed up for W's opening.
Absolutely,
we were there.
as they should.
We were there.
As they should, right? Yeah. Beautiful. By the way, you had a 50th anniversary.
Let's go to Rod. He's all the way in Europe.
He is. Rod, what are you doing in Europe, by the way?
I'm in Serbia, where my father came from, and I have some business stuff that I do here, and so that's why I'm here, and it's midnight, you should know, and I was probably going to go to bed, but anytime you guys call, I drop everything I'm doing.
Thank you so much, Rod. There's all kinds of crap going around about the
Obama Library,
Library, that people are owed money, things like that. I'm glad he built it in Chicago. That's where he's from. It looks like a beautiful project. That's what it is. But have you heard anything? Or what do you hear? I mean, you were the governor. You get all the inside track. Give us the inside track of what's going on in Chicago.
Well, the inside track is that African American Contractors Association is suing Obama's library administrators or whoever is responsible for doing the construction of the projects because they haven't been paid. Millions of unpaid bills. Millions of dollars worth of unpaid bills to black contractors, minority firms. And it's ironic.
Are the Obama short money? I'm sure they're not short money. Will have their fundraising gone down?
They're $500 million over budget. And within some of the terms,
$500 million over budget.
Wow.
They should have got.
Maybe he thinks he's still president.
Library. He would have done it under cost.
Did you hear what your other favorite governor said, Gov. Patterson?
I said maybe he thinks he's still president.
Governor Patterson, what did he say?
I said maybe he thinks he's still president.
Yeah. Look, I don't know the feeling that he has, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to President Obama because, look, he was the president, God bless him, and he's right to have a library, and you're right. It's great that all the other presidents came there. But you know how I'm going to treat the presidential library, Obama's presidential library, John Katzimatidis? I'm going to treat it the way I treated the law school library when I was there. I'm just not going to go.
Now, what What's the buzz about the look of it? I've seen the look of it, and it's like an eyesore. I mean, it's a very weird construction. A lot of people are not even happy about it visually.
It looks like an ugly prison.
Yeah, and you heard the Judge Weinberg said it looks like an ugly prison. It really does. And Chicago is such a beautiful city, but it's of all designs. What do you make of that? You're an expert.
I am an expert. I know something about prisons, and you're right.
Oh, Rod, good one, Rod. So how does this compare to the prison you were in?
I'm almost afraid the prison I was in might have been actually more physically attractive than this one. It's easy to, criticize, but I know that neighborhood where that library is very well. Obama used to live there, and it's a beautiful neighborhood. And Jackson Park is historic. The environmentalists didn't want Obama to have the library there because they didn't want it to mar the park scenes. The Friends of the Parks organization, which is very active in Chicago, protecting our lakefront parks, which are beautiful, fought the Obama people to prevent that library from going in that place. And they didn't prevail. Obama did. But unfortunately, I think they added insult to injury by building something that's really objectively unattractive and unappealing. That is not at all a good-looking library for presidents. And if you look at the other presidential libraries, it looks nothing like those.
Yeah. The others have sort of a grandeur about them, and have this one. You're right. There's something missing, and obviously, clearly, it took them a long time to build this. I mean, there were clear hurdles.
But Chicago is known for its great architecture. Louis P. Sullivan, Frank Lloyd Wright, and this.
Yeah. Daniel Burnham said, "Make no small plans." Right? Maybe what they ought to do to address some of the optics of that library, because it looks so much like a prison, is I recommend they have a Rod Blagojevich wing in that library to fit in with the actual architect.
Well, actually, Governor, I was going to suggest that you and I create governor's libraries in each other's states, and it'll definitely look better than anything Obama put up.
Yeah, I think so. It's not a high bar.
By the way, here's some interesting kind of breaking news. Stay with us, Governor. Here's a little bit of breaking news coming out.
Breaking news, WABC.
President Trump has settled. There was a $100 million lawsuit with his niece, who called him the most dangerous man. Remember, this was Mary Trump. That lawsuit was filed over accusations that she leaked financial information and family tax documents to the New York Times. We're not hearing what the details are, but both parties expect to seek a formal dismissal. And the letter states that the parties are pleased to report they've reached an agreement and anticipate to be able to stipulate a dismissal. What do you think about that, Judge? What's your reaction? You're smiling. Go ahead.
I think families are interesting things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Well said.
Yeah, Rod, what do you think from Europe?
I think President Trump's niece is not going to be invited to Mar-a-Lago.
Well said. Before we let you go, what's the reaction, by the way, over there in Europe to everything that's going on with Iran? Because obviously, President just left Europe. He already landed, but he was over there and meeting with so many of the G7.
Well, it's interesting. I can speak from Serbia, where I am, and they here in Serbia love Donald Trump. Huge supporters of Donald Trump. In fact, there were European polls, indicating the level of support of Europeans towards Trump, and Serbia by far had the largest numbers of support for Trump, better than 60% support. So he's very popular here, and the president here, Vučić, has invited President Trump to visit Belgrade and promised him a huge crowd and reaction of favorability. And I think not to get too serious, but I do think it's in America's national interest to develop better relations with Serbia, because Serbia is the biggest country in the Western Balkans, has an economic growth that is above the European average right now. It's a vibrant country on the move. They've come a long way from what happened in the late 1999 when we bombed them. So
you and I were there together, Rod. Remember, you and I were there.
I was at Camp David.
I remember vividly when we got
I was at Camp David.
And I
was at Camp David asking Bill Clinton not to bomb them.
And they bombed.
No, he said he had to do it.
Yeah, they bombed.
Yeah. Remember, and actually, remember the story, Rod? This is so funny. Jesse Jackson, do you remember this? He said, "No, I called Madeleine Albright. They're not going to bomb." And as soon as you and I were on the bus, the bombs were flying everywhere.
No, he had to do it because Bill Clinton. He told me the story. He felt what was that African country he didn't send the 5,000 troops to?
Oh yeah, was it Somalia or Rwanda? Rwanda. Yes,
right,
I remember that.
It's
That's
in
right.
my book, Rwanda.
I remember that.
He didn't
Yes.
send the 5,000 troops, and they lost 500,000 people or something.
Yeah, he felt he had to.
He had to, and that's the reason to do it. And it was Greek Easter, and I asked him not to do it. The Archbishop had asked me to ask him not to do it on Greek Easter. He says, "John, I have to do it."
I just wish he would have waited till we made it into the hotel. Don't you think, Rod?
Look, I frankly wish he never did it. I love John Catsimatidis, but I think that was the wrong thing to do. The United States and NATO bombed us out.
I tried to stop it. I didn't say
you
to
an
do
approval.
it.
What does that remind you of?
Yep.
I mean, he was Putin. Clinton was Putin before Putin.
All right, well said there. Rod, thank you very much.
Governor.
We love
Thank
you,
you.
Rod.
Yeah.
Rod, thank you
What do
so
we all
much.
stand for?
Truth, justice, and the American way.
God bless America.
Thanks for listening to Cats and Cosby with John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. You can hear Cats and Cosby weekdays at 5. It's the 5 o'clock show on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?